Good morning, everyone. We welcome you all to our monthly indirect tax colloquium. We are organizing our colloquiums every month. This is our seventh colloquium. We request you all to join the updates every month. Further, I would like to introduce our speaker, Mr. Vivek Jalan. Mr. Vivek Jalan is a qualified chartered accountant, qualified LLB and LLM. He is a chairman of Ease of Doing Business Committee in Bengal Chamber of Commerce and member at various chambers. He is a regular speaker at various professional forums on the various key areas in direct and indirect taxes. Further, I request you all that during the session, if you have any queries, please write it in the chat box. All the queries will be answered at the time of question and answer session. Further, I request to mute yourself and keep your video off during the deliberation. Now I request Mr. Vivek Jalan to take the session forward. Over to you, Vivek, sir.
Thank you, Priyanka. And, good morning to all the members and participants present over here. As always, we'll start on time, although there are a lot more participants to join. And thank you to Will GST, Samir in absentia. They are working on an income tax website also, and which will be live very soon. So they are not here. And thank you for joining this seventh colloquium. During the webinar, please keep on typing your queries in the chat box, and we will answer all of them in the last half an hour, which we'll keep only for question and answers, like in all the live seminars. Friends, lots of developments have happened in the litigation space in GST. And by and large, this September 45th GST Council meeting has reframed, I would say, the GST law itself to a large extent. And there are talks of rate rationalization, rate changes, reversal of inverted duty structure, and a lot more in GST. In fact, only yesterday, which we'll discuss, it's not there in my PPT, which was prepared earlier. There is another issue for exporters, which we are dealing with Delhi, where the ministry is likely to come out with a clarification soon on the FOB values and the CIF values of export and the differences and the stuck up of GST refunds on that, DGARM, etc. We have seen a lot of litigations which have happened, a lot of litigations where taxpayers were successful in the high court, but the decisions of the high courts under GST have been reversed by the Supreme Court. uh, Earlier in this year, we have seen VKC footsteps in case of inverted duty structure being reversed by the Supreme Court. And now we are seeing the Bharti Airtel judgment, the Delhi High Court judgment being reversed by the Supreme Court. While all of this is on, the hearing in the matter of Mohit Minerals in case of ocean freight, GST on ocean freight is on in the Supreme Court, and we are keeping a track of that, and we will discuss what are the arguments from both the sides and how the arguments have been going. 11th January 22 would be the last argument in case of Mohit Minerals case, ocean freight, which will impact almost all the taxpayers across the country. Large government stake of revenue is at stake in this case, and a lot more. So keep typing your chat queries in your chat boxes, as I said, because all of these are new developments which are happening, and I'm sure that there would be typical issues in every industry. To start with, yesterday itself, as we were, we had already prepared the PPT, but still a new circular had come. And so in the morning, I included this. So this 45th GST Council meeting, it recommended that restaurant services being provided through e-commerce operators. In this case, it is the e-commerce operators which would charge the tax to the consumers or customers. Now, it was also notified with effect from 1st January 22. So, in addition to footwear, textile rates, and all, this is another thing which is going to be effective from 1st of January 22. That is the restaurant service provided through e-commerce operators like Swiggy, etc. The Swiggy or e-commerce operators would be charging the GST itself, not TCS, mind that, but they would be charging GST itself. And not only for unregistered
Unmuted வந்துடுது.
uh, restaurants, but even for registered restaurants. But other than the restaurants or the eating joints in a hotel which is liable to GST, that is where the room rent is more than 7,500 rupees. So there is a clarification. White Circular 167, there was a lot of confusion. Some of them have been clarified, but as always happens, one circular equals to two confusions. And this, I feel, again, this circular would need to be re-clarified going forward because of some of the issues which it has laid down, which, as per my view, may require further dwelling upon. So first of all, would e-commerce operators still collect the TCS in case of restaurant services being provided through it? Or when they would be paying the GST itself, would they still be liable to collect TCS on the restaurant services being provided through the e-commerce operators? Answer is a no. So there would be now e-commerce operators, even if they are providing restaurant services. For example, Swiggy provides restaurant services for ITC, right? ITC hotel or ITC restaurant, as well as for a registered local restaurant. So, for the services of restaurant provided for ITC restaurant through Swiggy, there would not be any GST which Swiggy would be charging, but for the local restaurant which provides its services through Swiggy, in that case, Swiggy would be charging the GST at the rate of 5% also. Hence, for the restaurant service of ITC, which is provided through Swiggy, Swiggy would not be charging GST, but it would be charging TCS or collecting TCS. However, for the local restaurants, Swiggy would be charging the GST and no TCS would require to be collected by Swiggy in that case. So would Swiggy be required to take a separate registration in this case? Answer is no. They have already taken a registration, so no requirement of new registration in this case. As you know, in the case of these job workers, the famous case unearthed by the DGGI from somewhere, where it was contended by the DGGI that an e-commerce registration is not a registration itself. So it has now been clarified that even in e-commerce registration, it is a GST registration. You cannot say it is just for collection of TCS or TDS as the case might be. So for this local restaurant, what would be the turnover? Would this turnover of restaurant services provided through Swiggy, would that be a turnover of the restaurant? Yes, no, answer is yes. For all purposes in GST Act, it would be considered to be a turnover of the restaurant also. Uh, can the suppliers of restaurant services be declared an inward supply liable to reverse charge? Possibly it is talking about 9(4). In that case, so if Swiggy is purchasing from an unregistered restaurant, does it have to pay tax under reverse charge or not? Whenever 9(4) is applicable, and if it is applicable to e-commerce operators, answer is no. So, therefore, there is no question of proportionate reversal of input tax credit. Now, this is a very important clarification, and it is highlighted in bold. Mind that in the circular itself. Can Swiggy avail input tax credit for payment of this outward tax liability for restaurant services? Answer is no. It cannot avail input tax credit for this. It has to pay the entire GST in cash. Now, this, as per my respectful legal submission, is a little, confusing, as to there would be many input tax credits. And why would Swiggy, if it is paying output tax liability, why cannot it knock it off against the input tax credit for the services supplied? Otherwise, it would defeat the purpose of GST as per the objects of the GST Act in the GST Act itself. That is to eliminate cascading effect of tax. So it is my legal submission here that here this is one point which needs to meet, may be required to be further dwelt upon, because it is against the principles of the GST Act and it would result in cascading impact of uh, tax in this case. Who would make the bill for restaurant services, Swiggy or the restaurant? In this case, where Swiggy is charging GST for the restaurant services, it would be required to be billed by Swiggy itself, right? Not the restaurant. Reporting. Who would report how? So e-commerce operators, I'm just using this Swiggy for, better relation of the facts of the case. So e-commerce operator in this case, which is providing this restaurant services, they would require to disclose it under 31A of GSTR 3B. So they would require to disclose this as outward tax liability. Does the restaurant require to disclose it? Answer is yes. It requires to disclose it under 31C. Again, the e-commerce operator requires to disclose it under 4A or 7A, that is registered or unregistered supply in GSTR 1, and the tax restaurant also requires to disclose it in the relevant column of GSTR 1, that is the services provided through the e-commerce operator. So, friends, this circular 167, it is quite a relevant circular and very well welcome. Possibly there would be more clarification on this in case of restaurant services provided through e-commerce operators. And as I said, there is one thing, that is the input tax credit not eligible as per this circular for the GST payment by the e-commerce operator. That is something which we may see further clarification on. Possibly it requires a further representation before the Ministry of Finance. Friends, another something which trade and industry today are working on is 9 and 9C. The due date of 9 and 9C is 31st of December. So I'm sure all of you would have either filed, some of you would have filed, but given that the short time available, most of you would be in the process of filing the GSTR 9. From day one, wherever we are filing the GSTR 9 for our all our clients, we have been always saying that with this new data analytics tool of the GST Council, GSTR data analytics would be done on GSTR 9 vis-a-vis GSTR 1, 3B, right? As of now, going forward, it may be done through income tax returns, etc., which we are seeing in service tax. So, friends, this is why it is very, very critical that when you are filing GSTR 9, please do make the reconciliation which is there on your screen. It is not a very simple reconciliation. It is not Tax Connect's reconciliation. It is a reconciliation of the Government of India, which we have taken from a notice which had come to some of the taxpayers. So this is a auto-generated notice by data analytics of GSTR 9, which has revalidated a lot of the issues which we have been highlighting from 2017-18, wherever we are filing GSTR 9. We recommend that all those companies, taxpayers which are filing GSTR 9 should also prepare this kind of a reconciliation. I will tell you why it is so important, because whenever you are filing GSTR 9, the system will automatically compare your GSTR 9. It will do a data analytics on your GSTR 9, compare it with 1, 3B automatically, and there may be an auto generated notice in this respect. So what does it do? The purpose of this reconciliation is to auto-generate a demand as per GSTR 9 and its comparison with 1 and 3B. So primarily the objective of this reconciliation is to compare the various tables of GSTR 9 and to find out what is the total tax liability vis-a-vis the tax which you have paid through input tax credit and through cash ledger. This is the only purpose of this reconciliation. However, there are critical points in this. So first part, three parts as I said. First part, to find out the tax liability. Second part is to find out the payment through ITC and through cash. And third is to auto generate in case of any deficiency of payment of tax liability. Now we'll come to part 1. Finding out what is your tax liability. I'm sure some of you would be remembering the more or less the tables of GSTR 9. So, but we will verbalize our on the basis of GSTR 9 just a little bit, so you get a fair idea. Thereafter, at your own pace, you can go through your own GSTR 9 and analyze. So first, taxable supplies as per table 4N. So table number 4 of GSTR 9, you go to the last row of the table 4N. It gives you the taxable supplies, right? Yeah, please do keep on typing in your chat boxes, and we will reply to all of this in the last half an hour. So 4N plus amendments, that is the debit notes which you have given, plus any amendments of previous year's invoice in this year as per table number 10 of GSTR 9, plus job work items which you have sent input and capital goods to job worker and it has not been returned in 1 to 3 years, that liability, plus any item on sales approval not returned back in 4 months, right? 16C. Then pending demands. You see this serial number 5, pending demands. Now this is important, and this gives you a glimpse of how you should prepare at least. So this table number 15 talks about what are your demands, what payment have you made, and 15G talks about what is pending, right? The question is, it is adding 15G, that is pending demands, okay? So somewhere this 15G, and if you see the instruction, it talks nothing about this. But here it is auto-populating a tax liability Therefore, possibly this 15G, right? So 15F, that is before 15G, possibly in that you have to talk about the appealed as well as admitted tax liability. You have to put that figure so that 15G is 0. In case there is a figure in 15G, it will lead to an automatic tax liability and this letter, scrutiny letter, going to you, right? I am again repeating, this 15G is important. So what is table 15? Table 15 is the demand which you have got, amount you have paid, and 15G is demand minus amount, that is the balance tax demand, right? In case it is positive, it will lead to a liability over here, right? So you have to ensure that 15G is 0. How do you ensure 15G is 0? Just that row above it, 15F, you have to ensure that it is equivalent to the amount of demand. How do you ensure that? Possibly you have to take admitted as well as appealed against demand value in 15F, right? You can reflect on this at your own pace. Now, this is the most important. 6 to 9. 6 talks about 8D, which we are speaking about since the last 4 years. 8D of GSTR 9 cannot be a negative. What is 8B? 8D. 8D equals to 8A minus 8B minus 8C. 8A is auto-populated figure from your GSTR 2A, table number 3 and table number 5. I don't know why they have not taken 4 and 6 because that talks about amendments also. So 8A is your GSTR 2A. 8B is the ITC you have claimed in 6B plus 6H. Again, there is an issue. I will not go into detail because this is not a GSTR 9 session. So 8A minus 8B minus previous year's ITC, this year's ITC, which you have claimed it next year, 8C. This is 8D is the difference between 2A figure plus ITC minus ITC availed. Okay. If 8D is negative, ladies and gentlemen, this reconciliation will auto-populate a liability in terms of tax payment, right? So you have to be very, very sure in case you show an 8D negative, be 100% sure it will result to a notice coming from the GST department. Again, 8I. What is 8I? 8I is 8G minus 8H. So what is 8G? 8G is on imports. Imports, how much of tax you have paid, that is pulled up from your GSTR 3B table number 4. Taxes paid on imports, right? Sorry, it is auto fed by you. 8G is auto fed by you. 8H is pulled up from the ITC you have taken for import of goods. That is pulled up from GSTR 3B. Now, many times it is seen in case of bill of entries, the bill of entry where you have paid the tax on say 1st of April, but you have claimed the credit erroneously in your GSTR 3B in this year. So cut-off transaction, or maybe last year, you have paid the tax on 31st of March, but claimed the credit in this year because the material has been received this year. So you have to prepare a reconciliation in case there is a negative figure in 8I, right? That is the credit you have taken for the import of goods vis-a-vis the tax paid by you. How do you ensure it is not negative? You have to match. So maybe if you have paid the tax in the last year, taken the credit in this year, you have to show the tax payment also in this year, right? Because it relates to the import of goods in this year, where you have taken credit in this year, right? So very, very careful. 8D, 8I. Row number 8. What is row 8? ITC to be recovered in account of excess ITC claim. So 6O minus 6A minus tran 1 minus tran 2 credit. You can see if you're basically it is whatever you are showing in your GSTR 9, if it is not reconciling with your GSTR 3B, what is critical over here is 6M. I am repeating 6M. Be very careful as to what you put in 6M. In case you put something in 6M which is not in 3B, you have to ensure you take it in 8C, right? Be careful about this. ITC reversals. Again, you have to match the amount of reversals shown in GSTR 9 vis-a-vis what you have reported under table 4B in GSTR 3B. Okay, 4B1 and 2. So you have to match it. Otherwise, again, it will compare your 3B vis-a-vis your GSTR 9 and may result in an automated demand. Now, all of this is, arithmetic. It flows from the top, right? Table 11B, that is not relevant for this year. It was relevant for 17-18 in case of TRAN credit. Then again, declared by amendment, that is credit note or reversals declared in table number 11. So all of this gives you your net tax liability in table number 13. So this total will be compared in 14 and 15, which you have declared in table number 9 in GSTR 9. Amount paid through cash and credit in case the amount of 15 and 16, that is your GSTR 9, table number 9 total, if that is less than this here table number 13, then it will result in an auto demand. To sum up, you have to see your total liability. You have to see the total tax payment in table number 9. Compare in case there is a difference, you have to see where is the difference or it may result in an automated notice. Critical among them are table 8D of GSTR 9, table 8I of GSTR 9, comparison of ITC taken vis-a-vis 3B, comparison of ITC reversal vis-a-vis 3B and 15G. That is the demand pending figure which you show, right? So friends, this was it. You have to be careful about this. Another few things which you have to be careful, I would say the most important is reconciliation of your GSTR 1 and GSTR 2A vis-a-vis your e-waybill register. Very, very important. You all must be using GSP softwares. Please ask your GST service provider to give you an automated report. There are many, many issues. Many a times the e-way bills are generated by transporters. Some of the cases where we have seen the vehicle numbers are missing, the vehicles numbers are not correct. Some vehicle number which is there, it is the vehicle number of some other vehicle. All of this, ladies and gentlemen, will come up in future litigation. Therefore, we as tax heads, CFOs of organizations, we have to be very sure of these reconciliations. We are seeing Supreme Court is reversing High Court decisions also. Therefore, even a positive result in High Court does not guarantee that you are free from any demand in future. This is the forum, the adjudication forum, the returns, the compliances. This is the word going forward in GST. This would be the best forum to settle all the issues under GST. Right. So, Ocean Freight, Mohit Minerals case. 3-member judge bench is hearing this case, and finally, Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, who pronounced the judgment for VKC footsteps, also for inverted duty structure, Justice Vikram Nath and Surya Kant. 12 hearings have happened already in Mohit Minerals case, and the final hearing where learned additional solicitor general Shri Venkatraman, he would present his concluding arguments on the rejoinder. So, what are the various issues in ocean freight case, and what are the arguments by additional Solicitor General, and what are the counter arguments which have been laid down by the respondents? We'll just understand, and since it is already being heard in the Honorable Apex Court, you see, we here are cannot in all our wisdom even talk about whether what may be the result of this, but we can only produce before you the arguments and counter arguments. So first issue on double taxation. The learned, so what was the issue? The issue was that for the CIF value of imports, already you are charging customs duty under Rule 14, right? So in case you are charging GST on 10% of the value of CIF value, to that extent, IGST is a double tax on the same product, where under the customs law you are saying it is a goods, you are charging customs duty on the same value, and here you are charging IGST, deeming it to be freight service. Now friends, the counter arguments by the respondents, for this you have to understand what is Article 269 capital A and 270. You all know that as per Article 270 of the Constitution, whatever tax the Union of India collects, a part of that, as of now 42.5%, is devolved to the states as per the recommendations of the Finance Commission. While the 101st Constitution Amendment Act, right, the GST was introduced, and with that Article 269 capital A was introduced in the Constitution, whereby the powers were given to the GST Council to lay down on the procedure of devolvement of the tax as far as GST is concerned, and IGST, how it is to be bifurcated between CGST and SGST depending upon the RBI's e-Kuber model. We'll not go into RBI's e-Kuber model, but that was the model. So friends, when we talk about customs duty and IGST, right, IGST on imports, they are not the same. This was laid down by the respondent as a counter argument. In customs duty, the amount which is devolved to the states by the Union of India is wider percentage. But in case of GST, White Section 37 of the Customs Tariff Act, the IGST which is charged as customs duty, there the devolvement is as per the GST Council laid down principles, right? So IGST as per 37 on import of goods or services and customs duty, they are not the same. They are different. In this case, in case of GST on ocean freight, it was laid down by the respondent as a counter arguments that it is totally different and it is not the same. Therefore, the ground of double taxation as per the respondents, it prevailed. Second, and I would say the most important argument by which the Honorable Gujarat High Court had held GST on ocean freight to be ultra virus. So what is GST on ocean freight on CIF value? A foreign ship, say if the material is coming from Singapore to India, right? And it is CIF. So Indian importer, what he is doing, he is saying, say there is an import of steel. He is saying, I will pay $1,000 per ton of steel, CIF, on my port. The cost, insurance and freight element, it is borne by the foreign supplier. So foreign suppliers gets into a negotiation with Singapore shipping company, and it determines the freight, and it pays the freight to the shipping company. So for the instant services of freight, the recipient of the service is the foreign supplier. The provider of the service is the shipping line, foreign Singapore shipping line. So here, when the recipient and the supplier both are outside the taxable territory, as per the GST section 9, a GST would be chargeable only in case either the recipient or the supplier is within the taxable territory. As per the learned ASG, the power to determine who is the recipient of the supplies and who is the supplier, especially who is the recipient, is on the GST Council. The argument of the respondent in this case is that no, the power to specify the taxable person does not empower the GST Council to create a fiction in the notification which travels beyond the GST law itself. So what is the GST law? Under 2 subsection 93, a recipient of the service is either the person who pays for the service. So here, as you as an importer, you are not paying for the freight, or the service is delivered to you. Now, or any other person as may be determined. Now, the para after this 293 clause C was discussed in detail, and the learned additional solicitor general, he put up in his arguments that here the contract is not vivisected. It is only the value of the service, because the consumption of the service as per place of supply rules, section 13, subsection 9 of the IGST Act, the consumption of the service is happening in India because the place of supply is in India. Now, this as per was contended by the respondent, saying yes, the recipient cannot be a fictitious person where the importer is not a recipient, he is not paying for the service, somebody else is paying for the service, right? And place of supply rules cannot determine the charge of GST, right? Here, now this is the most critical ground which the Honorable Apex Court has to lay down, because it is a fact that GST is a consumption based tax. Finally, the ultimate beneficiary of the transportation of the goods from outside India up to India, the final beneficiary is the importer. So, can the importer be fictitiously made a recipient of service? Does the GST Council under the para under 293 have the powers to determine who is the recipient of the service? This is a question which requires to be dwelt with by the Apex Court, and this, as per our submission, is a real critical question which requires to be answered. So these are the two important issues in this Mohit Mineral case. Possibly in the month of January, just before the budget, we would be seeing a judgment, and all of us would have to see whether we have to go on paying GST on ocean freight, whether if we have not claimed the input tax credit, can we claim the refund? Of course, it will be subject to unjust enrichment, but so you have to be prepared as a payer of this ocean freight GST to ensure that you have not passed on the liability. Because if it is a positive decision, then again, as per the Gujarat High Court's decision in case of Comsol Energy Limited, you can go in for a refund on this. So friends, another important decision which has come is in the case of Bharti Airtel and others, pronounced by the Honorable Apex Court in November 2021. The case was, I've spoken to many councils as well as the various taxpayers involved. The case was very simple. You see, uh, the taxpayer in this case, it had some input tax credit which related to the invoices from July to September 2017. But it paid the GST in cash. Afterward, it recognized the invoices, took the credit, right, when GSTR 2A came into being. Therefore, these credits went on getting accumulated. Now, the accumulation went up to 923 odd crores, and now it contended that I should have taken the credit in July to September. Why? The main edifice of the entire case was the fact that the GST Council could not start the GSTR 2A. Therefore, if they could not start the GSTR 2A, right, in that period, therefore, it was a ground for rectification of 3B in that period when the invoice date was there. So, Bharti Airtel wanted them to be given the powers to rectify the 3B of July to September, pay the GST at that period in ITC, and get the refund of the cash which they had paid. The Honorable Apex Delhi High Court agreed with the petitioner. However, the Honorable Supreme Court reversed the decision. But very, very important principles comes out over here, which might help going forward to the taxpayers in other cases. Now, the most important principle, at least before October 2019, before this rule 36(4) came into being, is what is the basis on which you take the input tax credit. If the input tax credit is not reflecting in your GSTR 2A, can you take the input tax credit? The Honorable Apex Court has laid down a cardinal principle. Friends, I am repeating, this is very, very important takeaway from this Bharti Airtel decision. The Apex Court has answered a cardinal principle. While filing your return, do you need to see your 2A? It has answered in the negative. It lays down that self-assessment under section 59, filing of the return under section 39 and claiming the input tax credit therein has to be done on the basis of your books of accounts, that is the purchase register in this case. So, as per the cardinal question answered by the Honorable Apex Court in Bharti Airtel judgment, you can take the input tax credit in your GSTR 3B as per the purchase register, right? So, what is GSTR 2A? It is a facilitator for filing of the returns and doing a self-assessment. So this is something which you can rely on in case of future arguments in your case. Well, there are many revenue officers also here, I suppose. For the revenue officers, of course, there is always a uh, uh, you know, a case that to distinguish the Bharti Airtel judgment. The Bharti Airtel judgment, it can be argued by the revenue officers that Bharti Airtel judgment was a different case and it is distinguished by the other from the other cases. Supreme Court has again reversed the AAP judgment also of the Gujarat High Court, which, as per our legal submission, also from day one, it was rendered unfructuous by notification in October 2019, whereby it was the Rule 61 Sub Rule 5 was already amended that GSTR 3B is not in lieu of return, it is a return itself. So, where is the question of saying GSTR 3B is not a return? The Honorable Apex Court, in the case of Bharti Airtel judgment in para 41, has held accordingly that the AAP judgment by the Honorable Gujarat High Court was rendered unfructuous the moment the notification and amending Rule 61 Sub Rule 5 was issued, contending that GSTR 3B was also a return and it was just not a temporary stopgap arrangement. So, this was again brought up by the respondent, that is the AAP in this case, and the Honorable Apex Court held that there is no reason to reverse the Bharti Airtel judgment to the extent of contending that GSTR 3B is not a return. So even that is put to rest. So gentlemen, BKC footstep, inverted duty structure, Gujarat High Court decision reversed. AAP Gujarat High Court decision contending that 3B is not a return reversed. Bharti Airtel judgment empowering the taxpayer to amend the GSTR 3B of the specific period reversed. Let us see what would be the fate of Mohit Minerals case for GST on ocean freight. Friends, another very, very important judgment held by trade and industry. I again have had the opportunity to speak to the taxpayers, various councils in this case, and being privy to these arguments, LGW Industries, Calcutta High Court has pronounced this judgment in this week itself. What was the case? There were many, many petitioners. This was a twofold case. First has been answered by the Honorable Calcutta High Court. The case, as in numerous cases across the country, was on 16(2)(c) that in case the tax related to a particular transaction, a particular inward supply, if the tax has not been paid, actually not being paid by the supplier to the government, would the recipient claim the input tax credit or be eligible to claim the input tax credit? Friends, if you see page number 6, second para and third para, I am again repeating page number 6, second para, last 3 lines of the judgment is important. Para 7 is the actual judgment, but second para, page 6, last 3 lines. Please go through this. We have already started this in many of our clients, and the same was laid down in DY Bethel Enterprises by Madras High Court also. The case was that the supplier has not paid the tax to the government. Supplier in some cases was non-existent, in some cases was existent, did not pay the tax to the government. In some cases, the supplier's GST registration was cancelled retrospectively. Recipients was denied the input tax credit. The Honorable High Court of Calcutta, it held that the department should again re-go through this case, and it remanded back the case to the adjudicating authorities with the direction that the department has to consider the documents, that is the invoice, waybill, etc., consignment note. It has to, the department has to consider all those documents. It has to consider whether the payments were made through bank. It has to consider whether the transactions were made before cancellation or after cancellation. So if the transactions was made with the instant customer before cancellation of the GST registration of the supplier, then ITC ceteris paribus. All other factors being complied with if the GST registration of the
प्राइमरी P1 या इस टाइप से
I would request you to kindly unmute yourself. So, if the GST registration of the supplier was cancelled before or after the transaction with the instant recipient had taken place, then ceteris paribus, all factors remaining constant, the ITC should be allowed. Friends, but wait. Please go through last 3 lines, second para, page 3 of the decision. It says that this is availment of input tax credit or granting of the input tax credit to the recipient where the supplier is non-existent is subject to the recipient complying with their statutory obligation of identifying the suppliers. Friends, very, very important. Last 3 lines, second para, page 6 of the instant judgment LGW Industries Limited. You as a recipient of the goods or services are under statutory obligation to identify the suppliers. How do you identify the suppliers? Do you do a physical verification of the supplier's place? Do you see his GSTR 3B, GSTR 1? It is our respectful legal submission. In this case, we are doing it for various large enterprises. In fact, before this judgment, also it had come. One of the few of the large enterprises, they have approached us that, gentlemen, you do a analysis, a project due diligence of our critical supplier. So what we did, if the entire ITC taken was 1,000 crores, we found out the top 20. Top 20, top 50, 60 suppliers amounted to almost the 95% of the ITC. Mr. Patil says no sound. Mr. Patil, my sound is working fine. So, we today are doing, we are going to that, our team is going, visiting their place of business, analyzing their 3B, GSTR1, and we ourselves are giving a rating to the suppliers. So friends, this is a very, very important. If you go through this judgment, this exercise of identifying your suppliers, creating a docket whereby tomorrow in case of litigation, you can show to the department that, gentlemen, we have done our due diligence. We have tried to identify our suppliers. When we did our transaction, the supplier was present and he was filing his returns. This is a very, very important step in getting positive orders. Is in this case, this is our respectful legal submission. Friends, other important, very, very important issues. Again, Honorable Apex Court, in case of credit card transaction, The same principle would apply in GST. So, the credit card companies, this is a very, very important judgment. And again, important doctrine or principle laid down by the Honorable Apex Court. Whether this interchange fees is a service or not. So what happens in a credit card transaction? Say you have a Standard Chartered credit card, you go to a hotel, pay your hotel bill. The hotel uses a HDFC Bank credit card machine. You pay 1 lakh rupees. The hotel gets 97,000 rupees. 3% the credit card company, HDFC Bank, which is the acquiring bank. The machine belongs to HDFC. So HDFC acquiring bank, it deducts that 3,000 rupees as its fees. Is this liable to service tax? It was answered in the positive. Is it not transactions in money? Absolutely no. Both the honorable justices have agreed to this. Is what can be the tax liability? Is it the acquiring bank's tax liability? So what does the acquiring bank do? Acquiring bank, it deducts 3,000 rupees. It keeps 1,500 rupees, pays 1,500 rupees to the issuing bank. That is Standard Chartered in our example. So what is the value of the service? The total value as per both the honorable justices is 3,000 rupees. The total transaction charge. What is the value on which the tax needs to be paid? 3,000 rupees. Now, the only point of difference between both the honorable justices is who is required to pay the service tax. As per Justice Joseph, both the acquiring bank should pay on 1,500 what it retains, issuing bank should pay on what it retains, 1,500 in my example. As per Justice Bhatt, since acquiring bank has already paid, HDFC Bank has already paid service tax on 3,000 rupees, it will result in double taxation if HDFC Bank also as the issuing bank, it pays on by 1,500 rupees and again it passes on SENVAT credit, etc., etc. So this was the point of difference. However, the issue whether it is service tax is chargeable or not on this transaction, that has been sealed. No more discussion on whether it is a transaction in money or not. Right? Okay. We have discussed a lot of times on canteen supplies, whether you as an employer, you are providing canteen services, taking some money from your employees. On motor vehicles, you are providing pickup drop to your employees, taking some money from your employees. You are doing mediclaim of your employees' parents, taking some money from the employees as reimbursement. All of this, there are many, many advanced rulings. Our respectful submission is that the advanced rulings are specific to the applicant. Diverse decisions are there in various cases. Some of the advanced ruling authorities, like this Uttar Pradesh Advanced Ruling Authority, it has said all of this is a supply. All the reimbursement taken from the employees is a supply. It is a business under 217. Bombay High Court has held that this is the AAR Maharashtra has said this is not a supply, not liable to GST. Our respectful submission is that it is not a supply, not liable to GST. We have discussed this so many times in our colloquiums. You can go through our videos on our YouTube channel. We have discussed all this earlier. Manual refunds. If you cannot file your GST refunds online, can you apply manual refund? We have contended this in various states. The Honorable Bombay High Court and various other high courts have also held. Please note down the rule. Rule 97 capital A. If there is a case in your refund claim where you cannot file online, you can file manually under Rule 97A. This brings us to a very, very important juicy issue. You see, nowhere in the GST law, until unless you go into deep nitty-gritties and start interpreting the meaning of the word and specified under 54(1), nowhere in the GST law is it mandated that only one GST refund application should be made in one period. But as per GST portal, GST portal is also a GST law, parallelly it goes. So as per GST portal, one period you can file only one refund application. Question is, if in the GST law, CGST, IGST law, if it is nowhere specified that you can file only one application for one tax period, can you take recourse to Rule 97 capital A to file a manual refund for a tax period where you have already filed a online application for refund? Well, the answer in our respectful submission is yes. Revenue officers have to contend as to why they feel no. I have argued this matter before various authorities. Of course, the department says no, 97A was brought in for a different purpose, but it is the law. Circular 125 with respect to this, which says that no, only one refund application that has to be online. Circular cannot override a rule. If it were to be so, then 97A should be struck off, right? This was the decision of the Honorable Bombay High Court in this case of Lakshmi Organic Industries Limited. Okay, friends, under customs, very important, many a times the DRI officers, we have gone through this Canon India judgment. DRI officers cannot raise a demand, etc., etc. Now, DRI officers have gone on and seen certain performa invoices, and the final import value is less than the performa invoices. The Honorable Sestat Kolkata has held that performa invoice is not an invoice. Finally, the officers have to rely on the final bill of entry amount. If you have paid excess refund of excess IGST or customs duty also in your bill of entry, can you get a refund of it? We have applied in various customs authority before various customs authority. Some of them are taking shelter under ITC judgment. Our respectful submission in this case is that you go through this route. You go through 149 route, get your bill of entry amended, go through section 27, file a refund application, simultaneously also keep a appeal filed, right? We have gone through this route, and this is what was also held in various cases. The instant case also, Sestat Bangalore has held the same. It has reverted to section 154 for rectification of clerical errors, but we went through 149 for amendment of bill of entry. Suo motu order of the apex court, will it be applicable for refund claims? Can you claim a refund today for 2020? Answer 2019, 2018. Answer is, in this case, the Madras High Court has answered it in the positive. It has held that the suo motu order of the apex court extending the time barring period of limitation is applicable to refund claims also. Very, very important judgment may be relied upon, and you can, in case you see that your refund amount is illiquid, you can try your hand out with this GNC Infra LLP judgment. Okay, so many other cases where there was fake invoices cases, we see that many a times the DRI, DGGI officers resort to detention. It was held by the Honorable Delhi High Court that detention, even if it is a large amount, detention under GST has to be taken as an extreme and the final or absolute step. Summons cannot be issued one after other after 2 days, right? There has to be some breathing space between summons. Very, very important. Delhi High Court judgment. Vijay Steelcon Private Limited for all the taxpayers who have gone through search, seizures, and inspections. Friends, we all see that during all search, seizures, inspections, there is a retraction. Many of the cases where the taxpayer generally alleges there is a coercion, etc., etc. In this case, the taxpayer had admitted the amount and it had requested the DGGI or DRI officials not to invoke section 74(5), and so that penalty was restricted to 15%. And after that, it went on and retracted its statement and said there was a coercion. In this case, the Honorable Delhi High Court has held that the taxpayer has retracted this as an afterthought. So very, very important, when you are retracting, you have to be absolutely clear in your mind that yes, there was a coercion by which there was a pressure on you to actually admit any tax liability. Otherwise, this retraction can act as a double-edged sword also. And very important that lashes. All the high courts, all the courts across the country do not forgive lashes. So please do not delay in whatever you are doing. Okay, a very, very big issue. That is why this has been brought. There are many other DGFT notifications, but there is a big issue which, as per our understanding, where the rough and cut diamonds, precious and semi-precious stones, they are being imported and the valuation is disputed. So in this case, now it is a policy of the department that the importers and exporters of rough cut diamond, precious, semi-precious stones have to go through Gems and Jewelries Export Promotion Council, and valuation has to be done by the proper valuer in case of rough cut diamonds, precious and semi-precious stones. For cash ledger refunds, we are facing no problem. We are doing this across the country. However, maybe some of the officers have been taking a different stand of time barring, not allowing TCS, TDS refunds, and therefore Circular 166 has been issued and saying that there is no time barring period for cash ledger refunds. Even TCS and TDS refunds in the cash ledger credits, that will be allowed as a refund. DRC 03, there has been an improvement or amendment. Now you can pay all the amounts voluntarily where you are being asked to pay during audit, search, seizures, GSTR 1 versus 3B difference, etc., etc. There are now drop down. So DRC 3 is much more detailed now. Various improvements, your tax teams who would be filing the returns, they would be seeing there are various improvements in GSTR 1. Most important is in case there is an error in the in one of the invoices, then you have to rectify it and only then you can submit the GSTR 1. So friends, this is it from our side for the last month or so. The developments in under the GST litigation space, the GST compliance space. We would be taking questions in the chat boxes. Yeah, there are quite a few questions already. We would be taking them. Just a second. Okay. Okay, Nirmal ji is asking, sir, whether the local restaurant will bill to the e-commerce operator. Yes, Nirmal ji, local restaurant will bill as an exempt supply, And as I said, they have to report it under exempt supply or nil rated supply in their GSTR 3B that has been laid down in this circular 167. Mr. Daga says how the registered restaurant will declare the sales in the returns. We have already discussed this, already clarified in the circular. Mr. Rajesh says holding company raised apportionment bill to subsidiary company and subsidiary company not paid amount against bill over 180 days, then ITC is required to be reversed under Rule 37 or exempt. Mr. Rajesh, same principle will apply. Rule 37 would apply even in case of subsidiary companies. So yeah, if it does not pay, then it is required to be reversed. However, I can give you a small, middle path over here. A subsidiary company is a related party, and if it is a related party, even an entry in the books of accounts would tantamount to payment. And therefore, if you pass a entry also within 180 days, then no reversal is required. So a book entry would be sufficient, considered to be sufficient payment in this case. Mr. Jitendra P says, what is the tax applicability on GST on ocean freight in case of export? It is exempt, sir. Period between July to January 2018. There is an exemption notification dated 25th January 2018. But what is the tax applicability before this date? GST assessment is going on, an assessing officer demanding GST on it. So I require the tax applicability on it. I found goods transport vehicle is taxable under GST rate notification, not in IGST notification. Okay, so you see, if I understand your, maybe it is a freight and forwarding case. In case of export, as I understand, it has been exempt throughout, but we will have to recheck. You can send it on our mail ID. We will recheck and we will get back to you with the exact notification. But as far as I remember, if memory serves me right, then I understand it has been exempt throughout. But you can write to us and we'll reply with a specific notification or otherwise in this case. Again, Mr. Rajesh Sirsat says if ITC is claimed in 3B, not reflected in 2A, should we reverse it at the time of GSTR 9 or allowable since we have original invoice service received? Mr. Rajesh, it is our respectful legal submission, always has been, ITC is your profit under property under Article 300 capital A of the Constitution. Under Section 16, if all Section 16 2A, B, C, D, all the four conditions for availing ITC have been fulfilled, you have the tax invoice, you have received the service, you have filed your return, tax has been paid to the government. If all this is fulfilled, you can absolutely claim the input tax credit, 2A or no 2A. Even now, with this Bharti Airtel judgment, even the Apex Court has held that 2A is just a facilitator. Therefore, you can claim the input tax credit. However, I would again reiterate second para, page 6, last 3 lines of LGW case judgment by the Calcutta High Court. Please try to have the identity of the supplier. You must be able to identify the supplier. How you will identify it? That you may visit his place, you can have his 3B, you can have his GSTR 1, etc., etc. You can have a letter from him. So many other ways are there to identify the supplier, which we are doing in many of the companies. So it is very, very important you do this. Even in case of DY Beetle, the Honorable Madras High Court has held that taxpayer should be not be missing, right? Mr. Rajesh, again, credit note issued to customer for non-payment of GST and non-reflection of bill in 2A, then this credit note issue is financial credit note. Also, if interest charged, then GST is payable on interest by customer and we can take credit as supplier in the credit notes. You see, you have to clarify this. Mr. Rajesh, if you are there, if you can unmute and please ask your question.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Rajesh. Tell me.
Sir, basically क्या है in GSTN 9 auto populated to a amount is something some amount, but if we are downloading the GSTR 2A, it is amount is different, and actual amount is nothing different. Well, we have a three amounts. One is auto populated in 2A in GSTN 9 2A. Second is downloading 2A. Third is actual 2A, which is uploaded, which is we have taken up 12th of October. Now, if
Yeah.
we are basically from this in one column, it is coming minus amount, negative amounts.
Please go ahead with your tax invoice. Right? Because
Yes.
this is a technical glitch, you can do nothing. In fact, we have also faced many cases where table 8A, the auto-populated amount that is different from what is there in 2A. But go as per your invoice. Now this Bharti Airtel judgment also you can take shelter under.
Pardon, sir, no, not understood what you said.
Basically, we can
Go
go
as per your tax invoice. जो आपके tax invoice में है ITC and जो आपने पेमेंट किया है सप्लायर को उसके हिसाब से आप क्रेडिट लीजिए.
अच्छा मतलब ऑटो पॉपुलेट जो 2A आ रहे हैं उसको हम इग्नोर कर सकते हैं.
एकदम.
राइट सर.
Yeah.
Vivek, Saurabh Ganguly from M Junction. I have a query one.
Yeah, Saurav.
Yes, Vivek, hi, how are you?
Good, good. Please tell me.
So my query is ki, the block credit under section 70 subsection 5, which is updated in GST at 2A, but we have not availed the credit. So same needs to be reported in 99C separately, or it's prepare another part of reconciliation.
Yeah, very good question, Saurav. We have been advising this from the very beginning. You see, not only in GSTR 9, you should report it in GSTR 3B also. That will not impact your GSTR 3B, but it is just a disclosure. So block
Yes.
credit you must report in 3B. GSTR 9, if you see in table number 6B, if you have taken it, the block credit, if you have included it there, then you again report it in table number 7. Okay. However, most of the times you see 6B, in 6B, you do not take the block credits. Therefore, if that be so, you do not even report it in table 7. From Tax Connect, we are not reporting it in table number 7 because we are not taking it in 6B also, right? That is our stand.
So what we'll do actually, what would be the best practice for filing GST 9C?
My suggestion is don't disclose the block credit in table 7 of GSTR 9 because if you disclose it there, then your table 8D will come as negative. And the moment that comes as negative, you will get a notice.
Okay, thank you, Vivek. And I have another clarification needs to be required. In the GST council meeting in September, there have been circular has been issued that if company having same entity having the same PAN number with different GSTIN, they can transfer the cash ledger from another GSTIN to another GSTIN. So if when a government has give some notification on that, or is it been implied?
Not as yet.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Sunil says if we reverse ITC availed earlier, but there is no cash payment required, shall we pay interest? No, Mr. Sunil. It has been now the section 50 has been amended. There have been so many judgments, a lot of water has flown under the bridge. If you have input tax credit throughout the period where the balance of input tax credit is more than the amount of reversal, no requirement of paying interest. I will explain this with an example. Say, you have taken a excess credit of 1 crore rupees in the month of September 2021. You reverse it in December 2021. In October and November, the balance of your credit ledger at the end of the month is more than 1 crore rupees. No need to pay interest on this reversal of input tax credit, right? However, if your balance goes below 1 crore, then on the differential amount, which would be considered to be ITC wrongly availed and utilized, you have to pay interest. Okay. Mr. Manesh says, can we claim refund of GST paid on excess sale wrongly reported in 1718 now after 2 years? Okay. Now 1718, which means the time barring period started possibly in 2018 April, which was the due date of filing of the return. So time barring period is 2 years, that is 2020 around April. It has expired. Now, suo motu order of the Supreme Court was prevalent from that time. If you go by the Madras High Court decision in the case of Lakshmi Organics, suo motu decision for extension of limitation period by the Honorable Apex Court applies to refund cases also. If you take shelter under that, yes, you can apply for the refund. You can try your hand out under 97A manual refund case. However, it is possible that the view of the revenue is otherwise. Mr. Vipin says in GSTR 9 auto-populated 2A balance is not accurate from actual 2A. Okay. Due to this department issuing notices for the same. Yes. As I have said, Mr. Vipin, we have also faced this. However, even now in that case, you cannot do much because as I am informed by my team that you cannot amend that also. So yeah, in that case, you have to contend with this notice and submit accordingly. What is the suggestion for 2021 return? Well, you have to put that. What I would suggest is in GSTR 9C, you give an attachment, okay, that with a reconciliation, with even an attachment of your 2A balance as per your Excel sheet, then I feel that it would be much easier for the department to reflect upon the instant case.
So Vivek, all reconciliation needs to be fulfilled in GSTR 9 itself, right?
In 9C, you can make a small representation and attach it. No, because in 9, you don't have space. 8A is blocked, I mean, frozen.
Frozen. Okay.
Okay, Mr. Jitendra says, what is the tax applicability of GST on ocean freight in case of, okay, this is done. Okay, Mr. Janardhanan says cash lying in PLA. Whether cash, where can be claimed now as a refund? Mr. Janardhanan, PLA, are you talking about central excise If you are talking about central excise, yes, you can claim refund. If you're talking about GST cash ledger, yes, you can claim refund.
Hello, hello.
Yes.
Sir, regarding interest on yeah, delayed payment of tax or reversal, so I think the provision has been added in 51, not 53. And 53 is telling about reversal, but 51 is telling about the delayed file of return only. And in case of delayed final return, it is provision added. So that is my doubt.
Sir, please do not doubt. It is very, very clear. 50 subsection 3 is specific to ITC. If you go to 15 subsection 3, it talks about 42. 42 starts with 42, 1, 3, 5, 7. So if you go through that, it is very, very clear. And now even that has been proposed to be amended by the GST Council. Also, as per the Honorable Apex Court's decision in the case of Pratibha processes, it is very clear. Unutilized ITC reversal, no interest requires to be paid. Okay, it is
Okay.
now the law of the land. I understand some revenue field formations are issuing demands contending, but even they have stopped uh, these contentions, because the issue is now very, very clear. The diktat from the GST Council is very, very clear.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, PPT would be shared. Okay, Mr. Rajesh says if GSTR1 is filed by the supplier after October. Okay. So, Mr. Rajesh, you are talking about the advanced ruling decision of the West Bengal Advanced Ruling Authority in the case of Eastern Coalfields. I suppose my respectful legal submission in this case is, if the tax has been paid to the government even after October, November, whenever, irrespective of Rule 36(4), ITC is your property, please avail it. Right? If all the conditions as per 16(2) A, B, C, D have been satisfied. Okay, Mr. Rajesh says in most of the cases, supplier issuing credit note for non-payment of GST by them. So this credit, okay, this is done. Okay, Mr. Lemesh, chance of 99C extension. Sir, you see, this is only Madam Finance Minister knows this, but please do not expect any extension as of now. That is what we have been informed from sources. Mr. Sunil Giri, sir, what you suggest in regards ocean freight? Sir, please continue to pay GST RCM on ocean freight. Time is very short, and I mean, very shortly in January or February, you will have the judgment in hand. Till that time, only 2 months are left. Continue to pay and claim credit. Mr. Rahul says in 9C, sorry, in GSTR 98C is for supplies received during the year availed in the next year. If you suppose invoice was dated 2021, but supply was in transit and received and accounted in next year, this is to be reported in 8C or not? No, this is not to be reported in 8C. It is not the ITC of 2021. Mr.
Yes,
Sunil
hello,
Giri
sir.
says, yeah.
Hello, sir. Here, why I'm asking this? Because actually, in GSR 2A, it's already reported by the supplier. So
Sir,
in
I
2A
know,
figure, it's already included,
but you
and
don't
we
have
are
to keep
getting
it.
notice. But then we had not taken, but the date was of previous year only. Only goods were in transit, and we had received and accounted in next year. But invoice date was lying of previous year only. So in 2A, it's already included, and
Sir, I
officer is asking
understand,
that
I
why you had not.
understand.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have dealt with so many cases. Whatever department questions, you have to answer. They are there
Right.
for questioning, and we are here for answering. but we have to act as per law, and revenue authorities have to also accept legal positions. The legal position is do not take it in 8C.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Sunil Giri
Thank you,
says,
sir.
sir, yeah, thanks. Mr. Sunil Giri says, sir, I also want to seek information regarding invoicing reporting in shipping bill column of invoice head, because we are preparing two series of invoice, export and commercial invoice. Sir, we have the we have advised all our clients, not from today, since last 4 years. Please prepare one invoice, commercial cum GST invoice. I understand, possibly maybe in your case it is not feasible. However, in the shipping bill, please show the GST invoice number only. If possible, GST invoice number, commercial invoice number have the same invoice number, same series, right? So that there is no issue at all, right? And commercial invoice, you don't have to report in GST. GST invoice, you report it in GST. But shipping bill invoice number and GST invoice number have to be the same. As it is, there are many problems happening. Let us not complicate it further by having commercial invoice, GST invoice. Sir, we have to forget central excise days. Mr. Bhavesh says, if Tran 1 credit is taken wrongly, shown in CGST credit balance ledger, till today balance is there, which is more than reversal amount. But in 1 month, this CGST balance has come down. Yeah. Due to IGST payment. Sir, if it is not allowed, you have to pay interest. If Tran 1 credit is allowed, no question of payment of interest. We have done the same. What you have done, we have done the same. We have taken it in 6M of GSTR 9 and GSTR 3B also. Okay, Mr. Jayesh Thakkar says whether ITC liable to be reversed in case of sale of used car by a company, whether the margin of the supply is negative. No, sir, not required to be reversed. There is no law for this. Should we reverse ITC on payment after 180 days to creditors? You have to reverse and take back, reclaim, right? If you do not reverse and reclaim, you have to pay interest. But yes, interest liability is there. Mr. Janarthanan, sir, I am regularly attending your webinar, which is very helpful to me in understanding subject matter. My sincere thanks to your efforts and webinar. Thank you, Mr. Janarthanan. Saurav says thanks. Thank you, Saurav. Acknowledged. Mr. Jitendra says, is there any interest charge applicable if export invoices are reported in the next month just because of shipping bill filed in the next month? See, it is a zero rated supply. If you have a export on payment of duty, if you report it in the next month, my respectful submission in this is there should not be any interest liability, because it is a revenue neutral transaction and you didn't have the shipping bill number also. However, the department might contend that it is a GST payment after all. Time of supply is the supply which has gone, and the department has given you a relaxation that you can file your GSTR1 without the shipping bill number, thereafter amended. So why didn't you not go for that option? My respectful submission, no interest applicable. Revenue may contain this. So that is where it stands. So thanks a lot to all the participants for joining, and we will meet again in 2022. Happy New Year and happy greetings of the seasons. Thank you very much.